Hi guys, welcome back to magnifier.com. In my last video, we learned how to create a factory and we found some issue with that because sync and async once. We found out okay there is a depreciation in the method for sync call projects, and in this episode we will try to find out the solution for that one. Let's get started. So we will create a promise class. And in our basic promise, what we're going to do is just a promise, right, and equal to function, and then we will check data. So we are assuming this promise is going to receive our data once everything is completed, and then we are going to create a method called this dot then. So that method is going to execute when the promise return. And what we're going to do is say function, and you will be surprised how is it to implement a promise. So it will be just, I will check just function and then say then. So we are saying that this is a function that we're going to execute when it's going to be returned. So within that, what we going to do is we can say if there is data available. So if you call the then method and this data is already available, so we're going to call this function. So we will say fn then, and we're going to pass this data here, data, and that's all. But what happens if data is not there available? So we have to actually wait the data to be populated. So we're going to do else, and what we are going to do is we are going to store this function in object itself. So I will say var fn just to declare that, and what I'm going to say is fn equal to fn then, function which is going to be called when there is a data available. Now the next thing, so when the data is going to available, so I will say this dot maybe init. We can name it as we want, but I just follow the init function, and then what we're going to do is we are going to call data. So it will receive a data. So and then after that, what it's going to do is going to call function which is we stored earlier, and just pass the data. So we almost completed with our promise, and now let's use this promise to resolve that async issue. So first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this promise in a bean factory. So how we can use that in a bean factory is so first of all we check in the cache. That's fine. If it's not available in the cache, then we are actually creating a instance the cache. That's we are not going to do here now. So what we are going to do here, rather than we are going to create a promise here, and the same thing actually we should do for when we have a cache. So what we're going to do is we are going to say we are not returning cache, we are returning a promise. So I will say return new promise, and within the promise we are going to pass the data because data is already available. So we pass the data, and that's all. If we have the object in the cache. If we don't have the object in the cache, we are going to have a reference for promise. So I will say promise, and it's going to be again new promise, and this time it's going to, we are not passing any constructor, so we are saying that data is not there, so we can fall in the else condition. So data is not there. Okay, cool. So what happens if data is there? So how are we going to pass this data? So what we are going to do is we are going to pass this again in the service call, because now we are going to use promise as a service. So we will say promise, and we are going to pass this one there. Yep, and that's fine. And then what we are doing is we are returning the cache ID rather than we are again going to return the promise. So we'll say return and the promise. Okay, so it's look good, really look good here. The next thing what we are gonna do is we gonna make sure that we will call that promise. Okay, so let's scroll down, or maybe I'll just delete this. That's a good idea because we don't want to confuse anything, so that's good. We are deleting this also. Okay, come back to our service implementation. So what we did here is we are actually calling the caller and then the init method to actually call the create a bean factory instance. And rather doing that, what we are going to do is we are going to pass. So now we have ID, and we will just pass one more thing called so if you remember, we pass it as promise as a service get method parameters, so we can access that here. So what we do is config and dot promise. So we are returning back this promise again to our bean factory. And in bean factory, what we are gonna do is we're gonna make sure that this dot init, so when this dot init happens, we can get that bean promise, and we can execute the promise there. So we will just take it as a promise, and yep, we got it as a promise. And then what next thing we are going to do is we're going to call this promise, and then we are going to call init because we need to initialize this promise. You can use whatever method I told you earlier, whatever name you want, process, or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this cache ID, the ID which is created, and that should actually make everything to work. Let's check it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to the browser, I refresh the page, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bean factory. Oh, sorry, my mistake. So let's create a bean factory. Yep, bean factory is ready. Next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to say okay, bf dot find. So we are saying okay, let's find, and we say find the A1 data with the author, the bean, and then so when we find, we are going to do something. So we will say okay then, and we will pass function because it's a promise, we can do that function. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something here. So let's say okay, console dot log, and we will pass our in this function we are going to pass it as a maybe author, and we'll just log this author here, and that's all. Cool. So this is a sync way to do that. So this is how we can do bf find, and then we have a promise to return. And maybe we need to just to get the bean if bean is already initialized. So what we can do here for that is we can add one more method, this dot get. So let's say this dot get, and the function, and then what we're going to do is we're going to check if there is if we already have cache ID. So we'll say cache ID, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just return it. Say return, we know that we have a cache ID, then what we're going to do is we're going to return it, and that's all. So I will go back, and we have a bean initiated. So let's go and try it again. So we create a bean factory, then we have a bean initiated. Yep, and then if we want to use it, so bf dot anytime else from this method. So we get, and what we can do is just say a1, and we're going to store it somewhere. So say there x equal to make sure it's working. Okay, so it says ID is not defined, so I go back, and actually what I did is I copy paste from this cache, but it should not be like that, and it should, oh sorry, my mistake, it should be, and I will taking this as an ID here. Cool. Now let's go back to the console, refresh it, and let's create a bean factory. I have a bean factory. Let's create find the A1. I got the A1, and then I want to go bf.get, and then I will just pass that A1 ID, and I'm going to store it again. So var x equal to, yep. Now try to access x. So we have access A1, that with the first name Akash, last name Wow. So in next episode we are going to enhance this bean factory. Maybe we will see how we're going to save it, but just for your information, so the advantage of doing this bean factory is I have access a reference of this object. I say x dot first name. I want to just x dot first name, and I want to make it Gautam rather than Akash. So I will say Gautam, and okay. This changed the first name in our x variable, so this is our x object. So but this is what we did as a bf.get from the cache. So if we want to see okay, what's the return of the cache now, so what we're going to do is var y equal to, again we will do bf.get, and then what we want to do is we want to call a1, and yep. So let's see what y have Gautam. So that means this cache is actually implemented, and we are sharing a same single instance object of that class. And if you change something, it's going to reflect in everywhere. That's a good for us because we want to use that class. And in bean factory, what we're going to do that, because whenever you modify it, it's going to update the same instance. We can introduce a new method called save. So we can say bean factory save and just pass this object, and this object is going to actually post it to the server and save whatever you want to save is there. So persist the data, and we are going to capture it in maybe in next tutorial, next tutorial. But just for make the things clear, because I got a question from lots of people that is it really a constructor or object-oriented programming that I have defined in last tutorial. So just to show you, so we have author. That's good. Then what we are going to do is we are going to say, okay, do author have a constructor? It has a constructor. So that means author is defined as a class and has a constructor. And if you access this is a function and this is a constructor. And if you want to know, so you know that, okay, we have a x variable there. And if you want to access the x, so we'll say x dot, we again go for the constructor, and this is going to give you the whole construction. So this is a whole public constructor of this object. And then if you want to access, so I didn't define the constructor, it's there already. So I will say x, then constructor. And if you want to see, okay, what is the name of this object, what is the class of this object, I can access it by name, and it will give you author. So it's a class, it's object-oriented programming language what we are using in JavaScript, and it's how you can implement the bean factory implementation, service, and promise. And I think that will be good for now. Okay, thanks for watching my video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.